We're going to look at the windshield of the Automoblocks cars. While we do this, we're going to learn about a couple new tools. We'll use arcs in sketch mode. We'll shell out objects, and we'll also learn how to put a work plane down. A couple Word documents that'll help you for reference. The first is Introduction to CAD Modeling. That's what I'm looking at here. All right, this gives us a dimension drawing for the first sketch we're going to have to make. And then it's also helpful to have the Automoblocks dimension drawings up, which will give us some dimensions we'll need later on for the windshield. To begin, I'm going to make this line the horizontal line at the bottom, which is 3.040. The next thing I want to do is locate this point here. All right, and notice with reference to this point it is 1 inch up and 2.55 over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a rectangle down with those dimensions. But before I select rectangle, I'm going to turn on this construction tool over here. And what that will do is it'll still give me my rectangle, but it'll give me this yellow dashed line. So this is exactly the same as a construction line when we were doing hand drawings. All right, so the line is there, but it's not actually part of the drawing. It helps us find points, find different objects to use as a reference. So in this case, I just want to locate the corner here. So I can put that rectangle down, and I can still dimension that. So it's 2.55 across and 1 up. Okay, now I'm going to run an arc from this corner down here to this corner up here. I want to make sure I turn the construction tool off so I can get a regularly drawn arc. So I just select the first point, the end point, and then the midpoint I just kind of eyeball up. All right, now an arc is just part of a circle. All right, so since it's just part, it gets a radius, and the dimension of that is 6 inches. Okay, I'm going to do a similar process to locate this point. It's 3.01 over and 0.64 up. Turn the construction tool back on. So 3.01 and 0.64. So I have an arc from that point to that point. And you can see here I forgot to turn the construction tool off, so our arc is just a construction line. So I'm going to undo that, turn off construction, and redo that arc. Okay, that arc gets a radius of 0.4. And while we're here, we can see there's one last arc connecting those 2 points, and that arc has a radius of 6. Okay, if you continue reading the instructions, the next thing they want us to do is to delete all the dimensions we put on there except for the radii of the arcs and this 3.040 so that we can put tangent constraints on. If we try to put tangent constraints on right now, it would over-constrain the sketch, and those tangent constraints wouldn't be applied. And the reason we want tangent constraints is just to get a nice smooth curve from one arc to the next. So I'm just going to cancel out of dimension. I'm going to go around and delete these dimensions. So I keep the first one, the 3.040, and I keep the 3 radii. All right, we'll select our tangent constraint, and we just go from arc to arc. We make them tangent. All right, at this point, we're ready to extrude. All right, so we're going to extrude it 2.55, and then we're going to apply fillets of 0.5 to the edges. Okay, so this is similar to the fillet we did in sketch mode, but this is a fillet in feature mode. So we're going to select an entire edge, and it was 0.5. We'll select the edge over here as well. Okay, and we have the basic shape for the top of the windshield. The next step is to shell out or to hollow out the windshield. All right, it says to shell the enclosure to the measured thickness, so I'll have to go back and look at the dimensions here. Okay, so right here you can see the thickness is 0.07. Okay, so what we want to do is take a look at the underside of our windshield. All right, we're going to select shell. We'll change the depth to 0.07. And we click on the face that we want to start the shell from. All right, so what it's done is it's starting from that bottom face, it's basically dug out all the material to a thickness of 0.07. Okay, the next thing we need to do is add this connector piece here. Okay, there are different ways to do that. All right, it's essentially a rectangle with some fillets on it that's going to get extruded into our piece. Okay, so what I notice is from the bottom of our current windshield to the bottom of this piece is 0.67. So what I'm going to do is put a work plane down for me to sketch on. Okay, so under work features, I'm going to select an offset from plane. And I'm going to select this plane here along the perimeter of the bottom of the windshield, and I'm going to offset it that 0.67. And you can see it put this plane here, it's 0.67 from the bottom there, and now I'm able to sketch on this plane here, which is not touching our original object. So I'm going to do create 2D sketch. I'm going to select this plane. All right, and then I'm going to put a rectangle in here. Okay, so the rectangle is going to need 4 dimensions, right? Because not only do we need to dimension the rectangle, but we also have to dimension its location. So you can see from the front end of the windshield, or actually that's the back end there, it is 0.68. So I want to just make sure we're looking at it the same way the drawing is, and we are. So from here, not from the edge of the work plane, which, because it's a plane, doesn't really have an edge, but from the edge of the windshield to here is 0.68. I chose the wrong thing. Let me give that another shot. Edge of the windshield, edge of the rectangle, 0.68. All right. Then from its corresponding edge, all right, to the same back edge, 2.22. Okay, so then we've got a 0.29 gap here, and then 2.26 up to there. We do have rounded edges. Looks like the radius is 0.15. I'll select fillet. And now I'm going to extrude this. All right, we want to go in the opposite direction. All right, but notice we're going to have a problem because it's being extruded into an object that has a curve to it, doesn't sit on a horizontal plane. So instead of extruding it to a distance, I'm going to extrude it to next. All right, and what that'll do is you can see this part will get extruded a little bit farther to reach all the way up to the top of the windshield. But this one doesn't have to go as far. It just goes to the next feature. All right. Now I've got this work plane visible here just to clean up our drawing. I don't want to delete it. I'm just going to right click on it and turn off its visibility. I still need that work plane there, but I don't need to see it anymore. All right, we're going to come back and we're going to shell out the bottom of this new connector piece we put down. All right, but the shell for that is 0.05, so it's smaller than the shell of the actual windshield. Okay, so we're going to do a 0.05 shell on it. Let's go ahead and give it that green color. All right, there are a couple more features we can add. All right, there are these ridges. Okay, 6 of them. All right, you have some dimensions for those there. All right, that'll allow the piece to interlock with the passenger section. I'm not going to demonstrate that. All those are rectangles that get extruded to next like we did with the connector piece. So it's just a matter of putting rectangles down and dimensioning them correctly. I'll leave that as an exercise for you.